Hello and good afternoon. I'm your host Sandhya and moderator of the day. This is Sandhya Michu from Express Computer. Prior to COVID 19, the financial services industry was already evolving at a rapid pace, driven by changing customer expectations, heightened competition from incumbents and new entrants, evolving regulations, and advancement in technology. Digital transformation was well underway, evidenced by a proliferation of digital channels. In a matter of weeks, in fact, COVID 19 has upended those conventions. It has forced radical changes in customer behavior, moving significant portions of the economy online and increasing customers' comfort and willingness to engage digitally. It has also proven the case and exposed the urgency for digital transformation as digitally mature financial institutions have displayed agility and resilience in the immediate aftermath of the crisis. To talk more on this, we have today at Business Technology Leader Series, which is jointly organized by Indian Express, Express Computer, and HPE. We have two industry distinguished thought leaders with us who will be sharing their experiences and learnings around the digital transformation of financial institutions in the times of COVID 19. Our first speaker, and I welcome Sir. He is Mr. Nitin Agarwal. He is President and Group CIO, CTO, and CDO of Edelweiss Financial Services. In his current role, Nitin is driving the digital transformation at Edelweiss by implementing technology initiative through a business lens. The company has undertaken several initiatives for increasing operational efficiencies and making process improvements and time to market. Our second speaker is Ravindra Ranade. He is a country sales manager, Point Next Services at HPE. I welcome both of you, both the gentlemen, to the Business Technology Leader Forum. Can I have Mr. Nitin on screen, please? And Mr. Ranade also.
Hi, Sandhya.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. I hope both of you are doing well and welcome to Express Computer Business Technology Leader Forum.
Hi,
Uh,
hi.
so, so, Mr. Nitin, I would begin asking you my first question. Could you just highlight some of the key technology-led initiatives that you have undertaken in ensuring the return to normal at Edelweiss Financial Services?
So I think your specific questions is around COVID and how did we return to normal, and my answer to that, I've been asked that question multiple times. My answer to that is we never went into an abnormal state. If you just as a little introduction to Edelweiss, we operate multiples of financial services business from wealth management, asset management, insurance, and credit, and none of our businesses, in fact, if you look at the entire banking industry or stock exchanges, they haven't been shut down even for a single day through this entire pandemic. So while the world has gone through a lot of changes, I think the resilience of financial services and its technology backbone and operational backbone has allowed, in general, the industry to work and continue as normal. Yes, there has been a change in terms of how people have worked and some of the digital transformations that people thought about always wanting to do and having a resistance from, either it's limitation of technology, their current resources, infrastructure, or business teams. I think that has gone through a sea change. We have seen changes across the board, and more than the changes, it's been a rapid adoption of what industry wanted to do. At Edelweiss in particular, we've seen rapid changes in our customer journey across our businesses. We have seen a launch of a whole lot of new products, which are digitally native product, as we call it, made for our digital native customers. The process changes have been, quite prevalent. Earlier customers would walk into a branch and would want to talk to a person face to face. I think that has gone through a rapid change. So that's been on the business side. And during this time at Edelweiss, we've launched huge amount of initiative, whether they're data initiatives to API initiatives to multiple platforms for onboarding customers, onboarding partners, and so on and so forth. And the second big change that we've seen at Edelweiss has been all around our infrastructure and platform. I think COVID has made us realize how we use and what services we use. Cloud is a generic term used for everything, but I think more than the cloud, the industry has come to realize that the resiliency of their infrastructure, which needs to be on demand, which can change with changing nature of the environment, is what is needed. And cloud kind of falls into that. I mean, just to give you a simple example, people running their data centers, they've been partners. We've been challenged with supply chain. We've been challenged with supply parts in terms of our infrastructure. But anybody who's gone cloud native in that sense have had not felt those pains, and there are people who've been dependent on these infrastructure elements have felt those pains. So that's been one element of change. While we've been on to a very aggressive cloud journey, and Edelweiss cloud journey is now almost kind of complete and it becomes BAU, I think the value has been recognized fully during this COVID period. And the second place has been around security. So it was in business, infrastructure, and then I'm coming to security. Historically, again, financial services, because of very regulated, and as Edelweiss, as we say, we are regulated by every regulator in this country, including telecom regulators in certain sense, but we are regulated by every regulator in this country, whether it's IRDA, RBI, SEBI, NHB, exchange, which are semi-regulators in that sense. So our ability to put in a security infrastructure, and we have completely adopted a what is called a zero security architecture. While people have worked from home, our ability to secure our environment, completely roll out a zero trust environment security, and enabling our users to work seamlessly as if they're sitting in office has been the biggest achievement from that perspective, and that's been effective change. And because of this effective change, our ability to continue to deliver platforms and continue to deliver customer experiences has enhanced. We're building more digital native products. If you're aware, Edelweiss General Insurance, for example, launched during this COVID period something called a switch product, which is basically an on-demand insurance, which is very relevant to today's environment. You only get charged for your car insurance if you're driving, and if you don't get not driving, don't get charged. Completely built during COVID times. We launched in our asset management a Bharat bond, which is like the first ETF. We launched the Series 2. The complete process of launch and collecting about $2 billion in four days was completely digitally while the country was shut down. So there have been huge, as I said, initiatives across our business systems, our technology infrastructure and security, which has led to a continuum in terms of how we work. And I'm very happy. I think Edelweiss and the larger financial institution has shown that resilience of its own technology capabilities.
Great, sir. And it was really interesting to know the kind of initiatives, especially being taken during the COVID times. And it shows that, there has been a new dip in the initiatives and the positivity which you had brought into the company. So I'll move my second question to Mr. Ravindra. Sir, I want to know that, in the current times, what are some of the major technology trends you have seen in the financial services industry? Mr. Anand, can you touch upon some of the trends which you see in the financial?
Nitin has quite categorically emphasized on two things. While he said that there was no interruption, which means we're talking about non-stop infrastructure. The infrastructure has been running in spite of all the challenges, which is what the industry is looking for. And I'm delighted to hear one more thing which he said was maintaining operational efficiencies throughout the current situation of pandemic. What it means is there are 3-4 aspects which the customers are today dwelling upon. One would be obviously keeping everything running, which is operational efficiencies and keeping the data centers running. Second, he rightly spoke about cybersecurity. Security is of prime importance today when we are talking about workplaces for the employees as well, and trying to reach out to the customers the end customers or the citizens in the banking and the financial services segment. Where he spoke about some insurance also, some innovative insurance which has been built. What this means is they are also utilizing the financial industry is utilizing the data to mine that data and analyze that data. So there are three aspects which you were talking about: maintaining BAU, business as usual. So that has been the trend. We are talking more about automation. We are talking about more about predictive analytics to maintain the current infrastructure. It is today we talk about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is not about just those algorithm and use cases. It is about ensuring that while we are maintaining our systems, can we predict that and keep them on? That is also one of the prime importance today for the banking industry. Second, obviously, if you realize, it would be the security aspects, because they are reaching out to the customer today. eKYC is becoming a norm, which was not unheard of, or rather not being in practice for last maybe 1 year ago. So when we are talking about eKYCs, we're talking about digital workplaces. Security becomes a prime importance. Then the third aspect is what has happened is, while everybody was gearing up for blockchain and artificial intelligence, what has suddenly gone away from our bag is the time. So suddenly we do not have time while all the strategies are in place and everything is placed. This is where I believe the finance industry is now working at a greater speed to ensure that they can develop those use cases. They can go out with like Nitin rightly used the insurance example. There are enough examples there in the market where to gain more customers insight and attract more customers. There are innovative ways which are coming out of the existing data. So the structured and structured data which is available is being mined and analyzed at all levels. At maybe at the machine level, maybe we are trying to do machine language here. We're trying to do blue data. These are all nothing but solutions and tool sets or platforms which will gain which will help them gain more customer share from maybe the competition. And the last one, before I can close this, is he spoke about Google products. So it is about the interacting and collaborating with the small time fintech companies or fintech companies which are there. So partnership has gained more importance and prime importance, whether whether you're a large organization or a small organization. So there are new blooming partnerships which take them to the last mile. Today, travel is impossible. So how do you reach to the last mile? How do you reach to that customer there itself at its home? Taking the banking product to the home has become of prime importance. That is where all these technologies, the IoTs and virtual workspaces are being used. So this is where I think from an HP perspective, three things: maintaining the operations at the highest efficiency levels, cybersecurity, and using artificial intelligence to not only create innovative products or create new use cases, but also to ensure that the business goes on as usual in this strange. Like for example, BCP. Earlier, BCP was planned for maybe 4 days, 5 days, 1 week at the max. Today, BCP has become the scenario. Nobody planned for such a long BCP. So this is where we are.
BCP is the new BAU.
Yeah, BCP is the new BAU. Yeah, earlier, the customers used to tell us that disaster recovery we'll use 60% capacity. Now they are saying that I want to use the fullest of disaster recovery capacities, maybe to run some huge algorithms and workloads there. So that is where we are nowadays, I believe.
Great, sir. I think
interesting
you have
thing I
been.
just want to add to Ravindra on the
Sure.
data position. I think while all financial institution, everybody has data, I think the usage of data has just multifold, because now increasingly the entire organization has realized that now that you're not meeting your people, you're not meeting your colleagues, you're not meeting your customers, the only person who can give you insight, which was earlier dependent on a gut feel and person meeting person, is around data. So I think data has gone through a real new discovery at this point of time.
Yeah.
And it's from simplest thing, from reporting your dashboards to process efficiency to understanding your customer. While we have
Correct.
talked about use cases, but I think the realization and recognition during this time has been phenomenal.
Right. Great. It was great to know that these fascinating trends and how the companies aligning to these trends their manner. So, Mr. Nitin, I have another question for you. So, you heard Mr. Ranade, the kind of a frenzy which he talked about. So, does that also mean that, you at Edelweiss, you have ramped up the required technology infrastructure in response to the data growth and, I mean, the kind of data points which you have shared. So, are there new set of technological infrastructure being built up at the company?
Um, yes and no to that answer. I think what we did at Edelweiss over the last couple of years is we fundamentally moved to a on-demand approach with respect to our technology infrastructure using various service provider, and this has been true across the board, right, across our businesses. And to that extent, once you get used to building on-demand infrastructure, we have constantly kind of utilized those services wherever needed. I can give you an example and kind of things that we do. For example, we write a lot of algos, and you can understand some of the algos which have trillion data points would require huge amount of computing power. The way we run our algos currently is to maybe spawn up 1,000 microcomputers, in a 5 minute interval, run our algo, which would take maybe 3 to 4 hours on those 1,000 machines and shut down and re-optimize that. Vis-a-vis earlier, we would run a cluster of some machines and run the algo for 17 years. So rather than saying have we ramped up our technology infrastructure, I would say we have changed the way we look at our technology infrastructure. Technology infrastructure is no more for us giving a PO and getting an infrastructure and setup. It's become more on demand, and as and when capacities are required up and down, we ramp up. We ramp up not just during the times of kind of monthly basis. We do daily ramp ups and ramp downs. So if you understand, for example, trading, trading only works between 9 to 3:30 in terms of markets, and you require much infrastructure at that point of time, and you won't require for rest of the day. So we have moved into a what I call as a on-demand infrastructure, and now we don't bother about ramping up technology infrastructure from that sense.
Okay, great. Okay, so I ask next question to Mr. Ravindra. Mr. Ravindra, we have seen the rise, for consumption models such as Green Lake. How do you see, the actual consumption of this Green Lake in the current times? Do you think that has grown big time?
So, Green Lake, if I were to talk about in a single line, earlier, maybe a year ago, I was looking at some healthcare solution, and there was a catch line, through the video conferencing, the doctor comes to the patient. So I would like to use that analogy, and probably not the correct analogy, but I would like to use that analogy and say that the cloud comes to the customer is what Green Lake is all about. So, when we are talking about on demand, there are two other aspects which I would like to bring in here is, self-serve, having a self-service portal perhaps, and pay as you use. That is also one of the aspects which we are seeing largely in the customers. So what Green Lake does today is tries to bring all of this together. Whether you have your own data center, whether you have a co-located data center, you have public cloud, you have private cloud, getting all of this on a single pane is what Green Lake can do. And then, like he mentioned, running, for example, one of our, without naming the customer here, we have a big customer who is big time into animation. They have workloads to render one image. They need huge amount of computing power. Now, do they go and search computing power, or do they buy every time? No. Either they use the existing computing power, or they go to a cloud, public cloud, or a self-service service provider, run that image, render that image, do that workload, and come back. So, can I on demand, to add to what he just said, can I on demand go run that workload, pay only for what I have used, come back, and I can see that on a single pane. So migrating, so we call this as a unified hybrid cloud is, what is coming out to be. So it is not, we are saying, run your workload wherever you need to be. Maybe if you have a geographically diverse organization, maybe somewhere where it is lights out, you can have capacity there. You can use that capacity. So GreenLake can provide all of this. We are talking about a GreenLake Central, as we have called it. So GreenLake Central gives you a self-service portal where you can bring everything together. So you don't have to worry about, what is my usage in, say, a particular public cloud, and how much I have used. Do I have? Can I do further optimization in my own private cloud? Can I do something in my co-located data center? No, it is all available on a single pane to you, and you can, just drag and drop automation and take that operational efficiency to a different level altogether, and ensuring the fact that all the compliances are met, which is prime to the financial industry today. And the last one is you exactly know where have you spent your penny for and what it has been accounted for. What is the output rather. So end of the day, outcomes matter. So when you know that I have spent so much money and this is what I have got, then it is a direct correlation. That is what GreenLake does for you. Cloud comes to the customer is what we are saying.
Right. So also we know Mr. Nitin that Edelweiss is also it's an existing customer for the Green Lake consumption model. So I want to know in today's scenario how it has benefited the business from a cost and future planning perspective. Can you throw some light on this, sir?
See, as I said, the moment you go into a on-demand sort of an infrastructure, and as Ravindra rightly put it, on-demand infrastructure can be run with multiple players, and today more and more organization needs kind of orchestration where we can run their workloads in a distributed environment. There are three major public cloud players, and Oracle is the fourth one recently, and there are more of those cloud players and services which develop. I think organization needs a single pane to be able to utilize the services across the board from multiple players. And I think that the moment the organization goes into that, as I said, rather than doing your long-term capex planning and trying to ascertain I need to buy what infrastructure because the application lifecycle is 5 years, and then I would do a sizing of the application and stuff like that. I think the planning exercise itself has turned on its head. We are no more planning for 5 years and 3 years, and I think COVID has taught us well in saying the future is not predictable. Our customer preferences are changing very massively, and to that extent we need to create this flexibility, and planning has become shorter and shorter. We do more planning in saying when something is needed, how quickly can we scale, and how we monitoring that when we need to scale. So the whole planning exercise has changed very drastically. In terms of when you look at the financial aspect of that planning, I think it's got divided into two big ones. Again, there one is as Ravindra rightly talked about. Your ability to allocate the cost to the right business process or a business out has hugely increased, and that is the demand of the business, right? When you do a full business P&L top down, you want to be able to allocate. While you were running earlier technologies, to do a granular allocation was difficult. Now with this on-demand infrastructure and your ability to orchestrate that infrastructure, which is not bound by 5-year and 3-year contracts, your business planning cycle and total cost of doing business and how you look at your business profitability and cost of transaction, the entire exercise and methodology has changed. So I would say two things, right? Your planning methodology itself has changed, and your ability to do a granular planning for a on-demand business, and that has gone through a complete change. And I believe that will be the need for the future as we go along.
Right, completely agree, sir. On demand is something which everyone is.
Sandhya, sorry to interrupt here, but
No
I just
problem.
wanted to mention a point here after hearing Nitin. See,
Mhm.
the planning is definitely not happening for even 3 years or 5 years. Planning is happening as to what is going to happen in 1 year. Or maybe next 3 months, how do I see? Do I have a year end coming up? A very simplistic case of year end coming up, and do I have the ramp up capability? So that is where even when we are not talking about the unified hybrid clouds and moving workloads to cloud, if even if it is a single data center, this is where the Green Lake does envisage based on the demand inputs given by the customer, and it is already planned. So nobody runs to run at the last moment saying that, oh, I need some extra compute capacity just for 4 days, or just I need some extra storage for this month, and use it. And that is where Green Lake has become the we used to call it earlier as FlexiPay. So because Green Lake model has been existing for the past probably 10 years in India, and we have large enterprise customers who have been using it for more than 10 years now. So we've kind of perfected that. Even in-house, a single server requirement is also taken care, which because it is being planned with the Green Lake exercise. So this is where Green Lake can go right on the top of the pyramid of managing clouds and managing a hybrid cloud, but also managing the data center as well.
Right. So that was a perfect explanation given by both of you. So I will just move the conversation towards the potential of AI using, especially in the financial services industry. So Ravindra sir, I want to know that could you just touch upon some of the AI use cases that you have seen, especially in the financial services industry? Are there any major or mega use of AI happening?
Yeah, so everything they said everything starts with you. So what we have done is the if you see over the last period of 2 3 years, whatever HP's, if you see the products within HP's stable, what we have done is we are creating platforms and providing those platforms to the customer. When we say that, we are also providing tool sets like a tool set to manage the operations. So we have been managing customers over the globe. So based on our best practices, based on our experience in operation and maintenance, we are bringing that artificial intelligence into the analytics for managing a simple data center as well. So, for example, we have tool sets which can do predictive analysis on the network as well, and say that we might have a load issue here, we might have a security issue here. Second, moving on, when we talk about artificial intelligence, the biggest, it is like a web. Whether we have the right skill sets. If we have the right skill sets, do we have the right use cases? Because there are hundreds of use cases the customer come up with. Finally, when we have been through workshops, we are holding transformative workshops for AI, and then we arrive at a particular set of use cases which are prime importance to the business, and then along with our data scientist and along with our platform, we help the customer develop those algorithms and then run those algorithms in their environment. So it is more of a consultative approach which we are taking. And for example, we are not just waiting there at the consultative approach. We have something called as a machine language operations, which means everything is being managed. The whole life cycle, whole operation is being managed to ensure that while we are doing, giving the open platforms, and we are giving the tool sets, and there are tool sets existing in the market. Niche players are there. All of this life cycle gets managed right down to the edge from the cloud itself. So when we are doing some data gathering at the customer level, right from there to the data available in the cloud, that is what we are trying to see. So we are trying everything. So it resonates with our strategy where we say edge to cloud. So it is like if you have a brainchild, you evolve, you deploy, and then you manage, and then again you come back and do a 360 degrees to improve it. So this is where we are seeing the artificial intelligence going from our side, from a point next, services perspective and a consultative approach. I think it's not just that take this tool and your AI is done. I think Nitin will agree that this is not the fact. AI is a journey, and it has to be there has to be handholding, a lot of handholding available throughout its life cycle till we actually do an algorithm or an algorithm successful.
Sure. So I have a follow-up question for Nitin on the AI part only. Nitin sir, how do you really view on the potential of AI? Have you leveraged AI in your company yet? Though you have talked about the kind of technology innovation being done. So any specific thought on the AI part, Nitin sir?
So let me kind of give my perspective on AI. My
Mhm.
belief is all companies today, knowingly or unknowingly, have used AI. That's something which you can't escape in terms of usage of AI. Your simple Google search to image recognition that you do while doing internet browsing or using some of the services have AI components, already built in. However, your question is more, knowingly what kind of AI use cases have we developed? And during this era, as I said some time back, uh, the emergence of data and keenness of the business leader to get insights of their business, where nobody is meeting anybody and people are not talking about gut feel, the AI emergence has happened massively. Uh, if you want to talk about some of the use cases that we have had across businesses, I think KYC is one big one where across the board, we have adopted, industry has adopted the AI use cases on KYC, because we are doing now today eKYC, or we are doing photographs of some of the documents. How do you match that document, see whether it's fake or not? What the documents have been submitted. So the whole customer onboarding, there are multiple use cases of AI that is there. Industry has always used some sort of algorithms, whether they are rule-based algorithms and some have matured to AI algorithms, to be able to bring more relevant products to their clients when they're increasing a portfolio scope to the clients. In our scenario, in our advisory businesses, what would a client would need as he is rebalancing his portfolio, or his earning profile has changed, or his business profile has changed. Our portfolio services load a lot of AI based advisory, and we continue to develop on that model. I just talked to you about algorithms. When we look at our market participation for our clients, they use huge amount of AI in terms of algorithms we do. Um, uh, then I can come to things like AML checks, which is mandatory and necessary for financial industry. That itself has a huge amount of AI use cases. We have a complete AML platform across our businesses, which use a AI engine to ensure that all our customers, follow the law of the land. So that is where we use it. So I think it's across the board, whether you talk about right from a customer lead to customer onboarding to our business processes to what we call as a back office processes, there are use cases which are emerging, and that's how businesses are getting efficient. I mean, if I were to start counting AI use cases, I'd probably spend another hour counting all the use cases. But I can say we are seeing a very deliberate use of AI models across our business processes, across our businesses, whether it's insurance risk to whether our credit risk to advisory to our clients, or while we are onboarding clients or partners, we are seeing huge adoption of AI use cases happening.
Wow, that's very interesting, sir. The kind of AI, the fusion of AI is getting being involved in each and every step of the journey of this digital transformation. So I have reached to my last question for both of you. So I would ask Mr. Ravindra to give us a being a global player, being the technology infrastructure player. So I want to know, like, what are some of the potential technologies, Mr. Ravinder, that you believe will be game changers in the Indian context? So do you think that there are some some kind of a you know game changer technology things which are going to be rolled out from the HP side?
So, more than technologies being rolled out, what are we doing for the customers is important. While we were just now talking about artificial intelligence and improving customer insight, and trying to increase the wallet share for the our own customers. So when we are talking about this, there is an interesting trend which is coming up with HP is trying to drive is AI and analytics on the cybersecurity data which is being gathered. So huge amount of while we when we implement Nitin will agree with me when we implement cybersecurity solutions, there's huge amount of data collection which happens. So trying to analyze that and making sure that this probably what has happened earlier will not happen again, or trying to be predictive is what is happening today in the market as well. Coming back to what we are trying to do from a service perspective, because HP has clearly defined that we are going to be an edge to cloud services company, and in fact, during our Discover event, our worldwide CEO has also said that we will be a pure services company very soon. So what this means is we are trying to redefine experiences while increasing revenue and productivity with digital engagement with our customers and their customers as well. So we are trying to ensure that for example, a financial services industry can we can provide solutions which will gain insight and improve their business operations and take that digitization to the edge. We've just spoken about one simple case of eKYC. There are so many other things which can be done, especially probably in the insurance industry also, because that is now waking up to a lot of data analytics perspectives. Also, when we are talking about today, most of the applications which are available are cloud native. So accelerating that development and speeding up the time is what we are helping our customers. So rather than bringing a new tool set, what we are trying to say is we are offering to improve perhaps modern and optimize your service delivery, and also optimize your infrastructure and make sure, rather not maintain, make sure that it is at the most optimal level and gives you the maximum productivity, because that is the end goal nowadays, to get more out of what is existing. So not trying to bring in something new, but whatever is existing today, try and innovate in that itself. So that is the biggest point. Then taking the artificial intelligence, analytics, data, everything to the edge as well. Just not keeping it confined to the data center, trying to improve the experience for the customers, which will ensure that the time to market is also reduced for them. And we are offering this under our GreenLake portfolio. So what it means is everything is delivered as a service, whether it is at the edge or whether it is at the co-locations. So all workload, I would sum it up by saying that services delivered, workload, rather the services are delivered where workloads are optimized. We are constantly innovating because that is the name of the game today. Because of the current situation, we've learned a lot in the past 6 months, and remain on top of your what do you say? I would say remain on top of your game by ensuring that you're innovating by using new use cases and algorithms, where our consultative approach comes in. I hope this kind of summarizes our edge to cloud framework, which we are trying to help all the customers drive their own businesses.
Right. Mr. Nitin, the same question also for you. What are some of the technologies that you believe will be a game changer for the financial service industry per se? In the next 6 months to 1 year, as you were saying, the horizon of infrastructure is getting reduced because of there are internal and external kind of factors. So, but what according to you would be the game changer for, especially from the technology's point of view, in the financial service industry?
I think we've heard enough terms on technology. The game changer will be adoption.
Right.
I think what industry was planning, saying we will do this in next X number of years and will become digital native, and we will do CI/CD in our pipelines. We are at 10% and 20% will do on demand. I think the game changer will be the adoption. I don't think there is any new technology that is coming in next 6 months. We'll talk about the same thing. We'll talk about, data platforms. We'll talk about AI. I don't think financial services is into deep learning that much, or kind of a vision technologies. I don't think that's going to impact. But if you specifically ask me, I think the technology which have always existed, which has been used by others parts of the industry which are more digital native, you will see a faster adoption. You've already seen that. We are already 6 months into COVID, 6 months and 7 days, something like that. We've already seen that. I think the adoption will be the game changer. I don't think financial services will be same again in terms of how they do business, how they interact with the customers. Things have changed for permanent, and I think that will continue, and that's what we are looking forward to. As Ravindra rightly put it, for anybody to remain competitive and top of the game, their ability to adopt and implement some of this technology, which were always present at a faster pace, is what will create, the new leaders or survivors or leaders or winners in this market.
Right. So, Mr. Nitin, I would just have a concluding comment from you, like from your role perspective, how you are really looking at, the things from your side. You think that, now the companies, especially the financial sector, are now, much ahead. We know that, there is a rapid pace of technology innovation. But how do you overall sum it up this conversation, today conversation? So, what are the key takeaways you believe that, from this conversation one would really have?
Yeah. So just uh, so from this conversation perspective, I think my takeaway is, whatever industry was thinking that they will do tomorrow at some point of time, they need to do it today. A lot of them have already done it, and the reality of the future is wait and watch, or trying to see how technology is emerging and waiting to adopt is no more a choice and an option. You need to be on top of your game. The technology changes every year. Whatever we talk today will become irrelevant in next 1 year, and there'll be new things. The industry needs to constantly evolve and adopt technology at an increasing pace and be ready for that change at all points and times. You cannot afford a long gestation cycles and change cycles in any of your technology, whether it is your platform, whether it is your infrastructure, whether it is your security, and that agility will become paramount for our industry survival, or any industry for that matter. That behavior in terms of technology of any organization becomes paramount.
Wonderful, sir. Ravindra, sir, I also want to have your quick comments, like how you really see the overall mapping of the financial service sector, how they are really overcoming from this crisis, and how, what is your comment for the financial service sector?
So, I would just like to say two, three things here. What are we seeing with the leaders here is, they're trying to evolve their current operating model. That is the number one thing they're trying to do. The second is they're trying to unlock probably the full potential of the data, whether it is artificial intelligence or whatever fashion they want to do. They're trying to innovate and utilize the data which is already existing with them. Yeah, and what we are, what the financial industry is trying to do is probably build a resilient, cyber secure, and a connected enterprise to their own customers. That is how I would put that, because digital has become, it is no more an ambition, like Nitin rightly said, it is now the need of the day. So trying to make sure that you have optimized operating models, utilize the data which is available with you, and ensure that you're reaching out to the customer in different fashions or newer fashions is what everybody is doing today. And if companies like HP, where we are offering everything as a service, that I think is a cherry on the cake, that you're trying to do everything of this and it can be done as a service, is what we believe will bring immense value to the customer, rather than saying that this is the new technology. Rather than adopting a new technology, ensuring that whatever is there, innovate out of that, and innovate doing that using everything as a service, is like I said. So that is the mantra, I guess, everything as a service. That is how I would like to end it.
So I think the conversation really went off well, and the kind of starting from trends to the AI adoption and the Green Lake, and we have touched upon various things. So I really thank you to both the gentlemen that for taking time out and talking to Express Computer, and sharing their learnings and experience and the kind of a use case, and and especially the innovation part, which both of you have talked about, be it from HP side and from Edelweiss side. So I'm very thank you for to both of you for sparing time with us. I really highly valuable time with us. Thank you so much, Mr. Nitin Agarwal and Mr. Ravindra Ranade.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
so much.
Nitin.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Ravind. Bye bye.